Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Self Improvement Project. I hope everybody is well. We're looking at some brighter days now, which is good. So I hope that is allowing you to feel more positive about your moods, about what you want to achieve over the next wee while, whatever it is that you are wanting to achieve, or any goals that you have or have been inspired by. So, this week's episode is called Start a Side Project. Now, this idea, like a lot of my ideas and topics that I talk about, come through my writing. There is a wonderful analogy of gaining clarity about a topic, an idea, simply through writing and getting your thoughts out of your head onto a piece of paper and allowing that to almost refine what you're thinking, gain clarity around it. Think of it as the best analogy, like I was saying, is almost imagine it as a tap, and when you start the tap and open it, it's just muddy water. And this is the start of anything. But as you allow it to flow, it starts to get cleaner. And that is exactly how our thoughts work. So allowing that and giving ourselves the opportunity to do that is really important. However, before I get a bit sidetracked, this is how I have come up with today's topic of let's start a side project. Now, you might be in a couple of different positions here. You might have tried things before. You might have seen other people do it and thought about it but never taken any action. Or you might just never have thought about it before. Obviously, there's lots of motivations behind it, but based on my interests and the angle that I approach a lot of my content on, is this being the best self-development tool for you. Now, I'm going to cover a couple of different areas that I feel will help you and benefit you in that awareness of starting a little side project. Things that we might not be able to get from other activities that we do. But as always, we need to make it about you. So, story. Back in late 2016, 2017 was when I started playing around with side projects. And the number one reason for this was me following my passion, me following what interested me and becoming great at it, becoming really clear on it. And this is a journey. I have constantly been dipping in and out of a few things since, and this since May 2020 has been my project that I have done consistently every week since then. So how does this relate to you? Well, I'm going to talk a wee bit about some of the things that I've experienced, but also opportunities for you that you'll get to experience if it's something that you want to do. So, from my own experience, like I said, the number one thing that got me started was wanting to pursue that passion and curiosity that I had about a certain topic. Now, why is this good for your self-development? Well, think of how many times in your day that you feel alive, like truly alive. It's not when you wake up from your alarm It's not when you commute to work. It's not when you do mundane administrative tasks at work. It's when you find something that you're passionate about and something that you want to know more about and you feel excited about that. So this is something that you need to use as a bit of a base. Now, this helps you develop because it broadens your knowledge. It, without you even realizing, is working on your mastery, which I'll touch on in a little bit as well. But your mastery and knowledge around a specific topic that interests you puts you into a category above a lot of other people. And this, from an outsider's point of view, is a really attractive trait. Everybody wants to be interesting. Find something that interests you to make yourself interesting to others. So this needs to be a starting point. Additionally, this links nicely into my next point. Now, when we do side projects, my personal experience is that I've bounced between a few different things. I wouldn't change that, but to learn from that mistake is to ask yourself the question, am I going to be interested in this in 5 years? Now, I give this example of a question because if you're not passionate or curious enough about it, you'll give up. You'll stagnate. You'll find it stale, or you won't find it interesting after a certain point. And don't get me wrong, this can evolve into other things, which is quite nice. It allows you to blossom, and you've got nothing to lose from having that knowledge around that topic anyway. But what you want to be thinking about is, have I fallen in love with this? Is this something that I unconditionally enjoy? I enjoy it in a way that nobody else I know really does. And a nice phrase or a nice term that I've heard used is that when other people complain about it or maybe find it a chore, but you enjoy it and you really like it, that is when you're on to something good. So always have that play mindset with whatever it is that you do or you choose to explore a little bit more. Now, we have our passion, our curiosity, our long-term mindset of thinking, will I still be doing this in a handful of years' time? And this is where our discipline comes in. Discipline is the thing that gives us consistency. Discipline is the thing that forces us to put time aside dedicated to this thing that we want to explore. Whether that's research, whether that's exploring different, maybe marketing, or exploring different things that you're maybe not sure of. Allowing yourself that time to develop feeds into that mastery around what you do. So making sure that you turn up, whether that's every week, like the podcast I've got, whether it's every day that I try and tweet now, these are things that you need to develop a discipline for, develop consistency with, if you're really going to push yourself to the boundaries and the edge of your own capabilities. Something that people who are successful with what they do, whether it's a passion project, a side project, whatever, when they are at their peak and they look back, yes, they will have worked hard, but there's almost an element of, because the discipline is so ingrained, they don't think it's that hard. When you do something new, it's exciting. When that wears off, it's difficult and it's tough, and that is a crunch point for whether you're going to push through or whether you're going to keep it up and maintain it and make it consistent. And that's where, on previous episodes where I've talked about habits, is that you need to make these things as easy as possible. If you start exploring things that feel like a chore to you, that's an indicator that we're not on the right lines. Next of all, and this is really important, especially in this modern age, is patience. Trust the process. Let me put this example to you right now. If you were to start a side project today, the first year is going to be the toughest thing to find what you're passionate about, know what's going to interest you in 5 years' time, having discipline, having consistency. Those are the tough things. But the toughest thing is when you've committed a lot of time to it, say months towards it, and you're still not seeing any benefits. Whether that's you don't feel like you know enough, you don't feel connected with a lot of people in that space yet, but you're working really hard. This is tough to deal with mentally. It's draining. It's asking the question, why is this not working? And borderline that element of insanity to why is this not working yet? But depending on your definition of success, this is not how we get there. Success can be random, it can be luck, it can be non-linear. So having patience and trusting the process is important. And to go back to the question I wanted to ask you, if you start today and keep all of those things that I've talked about so far, in a minimum of 10 years' time, you will be successful at what you do. By integrating all of those areas and concepts that I've touched on, how could you fail? How could you show up so consistently? How could you maintain that enthusiasm for a certain topic for that long and not be successful? This is fantastic for our mental development, our resilience, our perseverance, mental challenges that we face. And this integrates into other areas of our life. It might integrate into your career that you already have and have maybe or probably already established, relationships, your social intelligence with others. Those concepts that I talk so much about on other episodes of the podcast, effective communication, developing grit, which is a combination of passion and perseverance, looking at the development of really effective habits, understanding the cycles that occur during this development journey for you, potentially looking at what stage you are at. Embedding things like meditation, embedding things like self-reflection, writing really effectively. These are skills that are a byproduct and improvement, self-improvement for yourself that are a byproduct of this side project. And this is where it gets really exciting, because there's only yourself to measure against. It's you against you. It's that time you gave up to that time that is now. It is that time where you've tried 3 or 4 different things and it's not quite worked, but now is the time where you feel really excited about it. This is the time where you have networked and connected with lots of different people and it's just not quite clicked, but now is where it clicks with that one person that could change your life. And ultimately, it's growth. Having a side project works on self-development aspects, which leads to growth. All of these areas that I've talked about today, they are painful. They are mentally draining. They are boring. They're not sexy. And they are painful. But when you do something that is painful, but ultimately meaningful to you, you will get that growth that is going to make you the best and most meaningful version of yourself. So, I hope you have enjoyed that today. I hope I have inspired you to think of maybe that thing you've been putting off and given you a few of the key ingredients to help mold that great idea. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. See you next time.